Okay, let's get into the first argument for defending God's existence. So the first one we're going to look at is called the Kalām Cosmological Argument. The cosmological argument. Okay. So it has three premises, 3 points. Okay. The first point is whatever begins to exist has a cause. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. Okay. Premise 2. The universe began to exist. Premise 3. Therefore, the universe has a cause. So let's look at all 3 of these, okay? The first one, whatever begins to exist has a cause. Think about that statement. Whatever begins to exist, something that begins. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. What do you think about that? Try to make that make sense. Before we even think about 2 and 3, okay? Let's just focus on 1. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. Think about anything that begins to exist. I mean, you could think about a book that was written. The book wasn't there, and then it was. There was a couch in the room, or there was nothing in the room, and then there was a couch and furniture in the room. Now we can say began to exist, or it wasn't there, then it was. Something began. Now this takes me to like the law of cause and effect. An effect is a change in something. Any kind of change that takes place, something can't change without something that caused it to change. If it was just there, the question would then be, has it always been there? It's just been sitting there. Nothing caused it. Like find examples for yourself. Like think about, again, like I just said, a book being written or furniture in a room. If there was no furniture in this room and then you left for a day's shift at work, came home, and then there's furniture in the room, you'd think, that was an effect, right? That was a change in something happening, which means even though I didn't see it, I know somebody brought this furniture in here. Like something caused it. Something caused the furniture to get here, because effects don't happen without causes. That's the law of cause and effect. If the book didn't exist and then the book did exist, and you can actually hold it, flip through the pages, there's a whole book. You don't assume the book just always been here, or just, I don't know, wrote itself. I mean, I don't know, like something caused it. A really good one that I like to think about are dominoes. When you have dominoes, not the actual game when you play the game, but when you just line the dominoes up in a line and then you tap it and they all fall against each other. When you have a line of dominoes, if the dominoes are falling, you see effects. This is affecting this one, which is affecting this one, which is affecting this one, and all the dominoes are falling against each other. Effect after effect after effect. So you're thinking, what caused? You're already knowing there was a cause. You don't think effects just keep taking place, because if you trace it back, there had to be a domino that started the whole thing. And then the thought is, well, how did the first domino fall? You already know it had to be something outside of the dominoes, because you can't trace the dominoes back infinitely. Because somebody could say that, like, well, maybe the dominoes were always just falling. Maybe that process was just always happening. And it's like, you can't have an infinite number of effects and causes, because it's like this domino's here and it fell. It's like, well, what caused this domino to fall? This domino caused this one to fall. Yeah, but then what caused this one to fall? Well, this domino caused this one to fall, which caused this one to fall. Well, what caused this one to fall? Well, the domino before it. Well, the domino before it. Well, the domino before it. It's like, well, how far are we going to trace this thing back before? You can't trace that back infinitely. The question still remains, what caused them all to start falling, if the only reason why we know they fall is because a domino before it hits it? If that's all we see are dominoes, as far as we can trace it back, how in the world, like, now you got to look at the property of a domino. A domino doesn't have the ability to move on its own unless something outside of the domino, wind, somebody trying to blow it over to mess you up when you be trying to stack them. It's like, or someone's finger, like something outside of the domino that has the ability to move, like wind blows. Me as a person, I have energy. I can move around. I have energy within me. Like I can push a domino. But a domino, if they're all stacked up, unless something on the outside, someone shook the table, a cause. Someone pushed it, a cause. Wind blew. My breath blew, a cause. Something outside of the dominoes had to cause the dominoes to fall over. The dominoes in themselves do not contain the ability to do that. So that's where we're getting that concept from. Anything that begins, if there's an effect, something began. If it began, then that means it wasn't at first. It was stopped or not there or whatever, and then it began. To begin is motion. To begin means something started. So if it has a starting point, what was it doing before that? Just sitting there? I mean, so if it began, something caused it to begin. So whatever begins to exist has to have a cause. Okay, let's leave that there for now. Let's go to premise 2. The universe began to exist. Now, in a future video, we're going to dive deeper into the more heftier arguments on why there are people who will disagree with this second premise. But let's keep it simple for now. So the universe began to exist. If you actually do the research, you'll see that there is scientific evidence for the fact that the universe had a beginning. And I think a lot of times, I know I thought that before I dove into all this, I thought the universe, the black stuff sitting out there, you know, like I thought like space, outer space. I thought that was just always there. And then we had a beginning, like humans, like not all the rocks and the planets and stuff. I thought that just always was there. And then here comes humanity. Life began, humanity began, like, but no, everything you see out there, the darkness, the space, time itself, all of the matter, space, time, and matter, matter being everything that's physical, to my body, to water, to the smallest atom, like all of that is matter. All of that had a beginning as well. And it's crazy, like I said, time and space, like the fact that that had a beginning is crazy to me, like, but it's true. It's true. And I'm going to provide all that information in future videos. But to keep it simple, it all had a beginning. The space, outer space, that was not always there. So this is where you can do your own research, at least until I put out more content. You can look into that. Did the universe have a beginning? Ask those questions and do more research outside of even what I'm telling you. Like fact check, think for yourself, come to your own conclusions. I'm just kind of a guide. So if the universe is not eternal and it began, it goes back to what we were just talking about. It wasn't, and then it was. That's where we get the whole Big Bang, the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang, the expansion of the universe. That's what the Big Bang is. And again, we'll get into the details of that later. But the Big Bang, all that means is the universe began. Boom. Boom. It started expanding. Space, time, matter. Boom. Everything that we see today. That's where it started. But what happened before that? How did the universe, boom, come into existence? That's a question of how did it, but also like what caused it? Because like we said, the dominoes falling against each other. No furniture in the house versus furniture in the house. A shift, an effect took place. In the law of cause and effect, if there's an effect, there's got to be a cause. Stuff don't just do stuff for no reason. So let's revisit the first premise and the second premise so we can get to the third. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. So what's the only thing we can conclude after that? If everything that begins to exist has a cause because of the law of cause and effect, and the universe began to exist, then the only thing we can conclude is that the universe had a cause. Now, right there, we can kind of slow down a little bit because that alone does not get us to God. It's like, hold on, hold on. What do we have so far? So far, we have whatever begins to exist has a cause. Makes sense. The universe began to exist. If that's true, then we can only conclude that the universe had a cause. So all we have so far is that there is a cause to the universe. Just a cause. We don't know what this cause is. So now it's like, well, what could this cause possibly be? Now we could say God. We could say energy or some other force. We could say another domino must have hit it. Maybe it was more of something else that's made within the universe, caused the universe. I mean, what was the cause? All we know is that there was one. And that's where we're going to park it right now. And then we're going to get into why and how we can even possibly think to identify what this cause was.